As we reported, the Trump administration's budget plan is based on upbeat growth forecasts. But how realistic are those forecasts? Steve Liesman takes a look.
The Trump administration coming under fire in its first budget release for growth projections that some say are too optimistic. Actual growth in 2015 and 16 was just below 2%. Both the Congressional Budget Office and Wall Street economists think the next decade will be more of the same. Not the Trump administration. It's projecting 3% growth, or 50% more than the other economists.
The focus is sustained 3% economic growth. We have been attacked stunningly by some folks on the left and even in the mainstream who say that that's an unreasonable assumption. We should stop and think how absurd that is, to think that 3% growth in an American economy is to some people an absurd assumption. It used to be normal.
Criticism of these growth figures goes beyond just Democrats.
Being at 1.9 as opposed to 3 is probably more realistic, unless there is some kind of big surprise and they pass all of this. But I think right now that's not the current trend, either politically or economically.
Of course, no one knows what will happen in the future. The administration could end up being right. But it's been the practice of most administrations to keep their forecasts within a tenth or two of CBO and the consensus Wall Street forecast, trying to avoid the charge of Pollyanna-like projections. The president's budget includes assumptions that his $3.6 trillion spending cuts will pass, along with his massive tax cut proposal. And so it sees the deficit dropping down to zero in a decade. But if the growth doesn't appear and taxes are cut, the Trump plan would be a recipe for much higher deficits. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Steve Liesman.